Welcome to the Leadership Path podcast, where our goal is to equip you as leaders to shepherd people well. Welcome back to the Leadership Path. My name is Amy Clackham, and I'm joined with our Connections pastor, Michelle Quigley.
Hello. Well, if this is your first time listening, we are so glad you're here. You know, our goal is to provide tools to help you become a better leader and to know how to shepherd people well.
So today we're talking about the 4 things that leaders do. Michelle, I know this topic is near and dear to your heart, so tell us why.
Yes, Amy, it's because it is core to the vision of how we want people to grow both spiritually and relationally in groups. We really want to kind of have these clear, tangible steps that people can practice and what it looks like to shepherd people well. You know, everyone thrives when they know what's expected of them, especially leaders. And so we want to give you those tools and those principles that you can walk out that I ultimately believe creates this fertile soil for growth to happen in our groups. And so the 4 things leaders do are they connect weekly, they help people feel known and loved, you help shepherd people to their next steps, and you're intentional about adding and multiplying. These things build on one another, but it really helps put intention around what is discipleship and how does that work around here within our group structure.
Absolutely. So although there are 4 things that leaders do, we are also very committed to keeping these podcasts short. So today we're only talking about those first 2, which is connect weekly and help our people feel known and loved. Now, connect weekly, I think, on the surface might sound more like a task to check off or just a box, less like the characteristic of a leader or the heart behind leading. And so, Michelle, just give us a little bit more about the importance of this idea.
Yeah, connecting weekly, I think really it's being intentional about being in someone's life. It's making that effort to get to know them, to get to know where they're at in their journey and the things that they're currently going through. It's building rapport and connection that really kind of creates a pathway for growth. And this takes time. It takes lots of reps. It's not going to happen once or overnight. And it's not meant to be like a tick the box, like you said earlier, this legalistic letter of the law, like, okay, did I connect weekly? It's really the heart intention behind it. Man, I want to grow relationally in order to walk alongside people so that we can grow together.
And it just takes time for that to happen. Relationships grow over time. Building community is something that we have to be intentional about, which is why we have this idea of weekly. Because if we don't, we'll become stagnant. These are not things that will happen on their own. We will actually step backwards from community if we're not intentional about it.
Yeah, absolutely. And just like any other important relationship, like a significant other, kids, friends, family, it takes effort to grow those things, and anything worthwhile does. And so it's creating rhythms and exercising kind of spiritual muscles and having a tangible goal and a purpose when we're walking alongside others. But before you get overwhelmed, really practically, this connection happens every other week when your group is meeting. That's a connection that's happening. It's those off weeks that it gives you the opportunity to just really be attuned to the Spirit and say, God, who are you putting on my mind? Hey, I'm going to follow up with that prayer request they had around a job interview or maybe a health situation that they're going through. It's really being attuned to the Spirit and following up with people and showing intention. And that can look lots of different ways. It can be a text. It can be a phone call. You can leave a voice memo praying over them or speaking into their life. It can be grabbing a coffee if they're going through something hard, checking in with them in the lobby on a Sunday. Just really trusting God's leading in this is a significant part.
So I think we could go the whole 10 minutes just on this one idea, but we don't want to forget this other piece, which is helping our people feel known and loved. And I think this is such a big part of the heart of Journey, especially even more so important as we continue to grow. And so when you think about it, there are very few things that are as meaningful as somebody knowing the good and the bad and the ugly about you and choosing relationship anyway, choosing to spend time with you and to care for you. So, Michelle, how have you experienced this in your life?
Yeah, I think being known and loved is such an essential part of everyone's life, like you said. You know, I've had the privilege of experiencing being known and loved in deep friendship that took years to build, where I could show up, be myself, be honest, messy sometimes, and feel accepted and loved. And there was a sense of belonging. in turn, it allowed me to kind of drop my guard. It took away the desire for me to feel like I had to perform or to be perfect, which ultimately created a space for me to be able to grow and for people to speak into my life because I knew they were for me, because that time was spent and that investment was made. And I think this is all of humanity's desire. Like, we all desire to belong and to be our authentic self. I think those are two of the core ingredients. And this is God's design for us as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We see God as a God of community himself. He is in 3 in 1, the God, the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. They are in community together. And when he created people, he said it's not good for them to be alone. He created relationships. And so this is an important part of walking as a believer. And it's also something that, again, and you probably have heard this before if you've been in church, but when we're walking in isolation, it makes us a lot easier to fall prey to the enemy because we do have an enemy. And so when we're in community and we're together, it helps us not just move forward, but it also provides just safety and protection as believers together.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I feel like it's important to be said that we've all intuitively at some point felt we experienced what it felt like to not be known and loved in any kind of situation, to be misunderstood and to feel on the outside. And that does not feel good. Yeah. And so it leaves us feeling insecure, like you said, and we isolate, we shut down, and then we get stuck and we get stagnant. And so we don't want that to happen. We know that can happen in families. We know it can happen in church settings like this, but our desire is to bring health and growth and fullness. And so we want people to feel connected. We don't want people to feel lost in the crowd on a Sunday morning. We want people to have a place where leaders are intentionally reaching out and creating a space for them to be known and loved, because we think that helps grow us and helps us walk into fullness and fruition and abundant living that God has for every single one of us.
So, leader, this is not a hard thing as much as it is just an intentional thing. To help your people feel known and loved, it can look like listening well. Not starting out in judgment or giving advice for situations right away because nobody wants to be a project or have a know-it-all around them all the time.
Yes.
I'm usually the person that gives advice, so I'm allowed to say that.
Me too.
But giving space for people to grow at their own pace, but encouraging growth as well. Because isn't that what the Lord does for us? He invites us in as we are and rescues us as we are. But then he calls us to deeper things and to become more like him. And so as leaders, you guys get to partner with God in ministering well by loving people where they are, but then also inviting them to the deeper things of the Lord and of walking in their faith. And it's even something like remembering what they've mentioned, a job interview, like you said, there's a sick relative that they've been concerned about, maybe a prayer request they shared, and just checking in on those things that makes people feel known and seen and loved in deep ways.
Yeah, Amy, something you pointed out that I think is really significant is embracing people where they are on their journey. No one's arrived. We all have areas to grow, and sitting with people in hard places, especially in our culture, is difficult to do. We want to move people along through grief. We want to say, we want to quickly rush to God is good. And I think sitting with people in those hard places is such a beautiful thing. It's saying, I see you. And I see where you're at, and I'm going to have faith with you and walk alongside you. And it makes a big difference, and it's worth it. We'll talk more about this later, what it means to sit in people's messes and how we walk through that. And it's important to have healthy boundaries when we're talking about this as well. We don't expect you to be therapists, but we want you to be friends who walk with others through life. And we have resources for those things. And so we want to empower you to sit with people in appropriate time and place, and to help them grow into the person that God would have them to be.
Absolutely. Well, that wraps up this episode, but we'll be back next time with the other 2 things that leaders do, and we can't wait to discuss those with you. Yes. Again, if you have any questions about what we've talked about, or if you just want to have a deeper discussion, by all means, reach out to your coach, but also you can reach out to Michelle at michelle.quigley@journeybozeman.com, or you can email us at info@journeybozeman.com, and both those will get to us. Be happy to talk to you more. So thank you so much for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Amy, and thank you.